All right, let's dive into prepping for a biometrician job interview.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, fingerprints, iris scans, facial recognition, all that cool tech.
Biometrics?
Exactly, biometrics. And we've got some great resources to help us out today. A career guide, an interview guide, and even some insights into this AI platform, RoleCatcher.
Sounds like we've got all the angles covered.
We do.
Yeah.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty of interview questions,
Yeah.
what exactly is a biometrician? For anyone listening who might not be familiar.
Well, you can think of them as specialists who use, well, a combination of biology and statistics,
Yeah.
really to analyze unique biological traits.
Like turning fingerprints and faces into data points.
Exactly, for identification and authentication. It's pretty fascinating.
And it sounds like you need a solid math background.
Absolutely. Our career guide really emphasizes that. Statistics, mathematics, it's all crucial for, well, analyzing that complex biological data.
And for developing the algorithms that power these systems, right?
Spot on.
So let's dive into some of those tricky interview questions. Our interview guide starts with, can you explain the concept of biometrics and its role in data analysis?
Okay, this one's really about gauging your foundational understanding. They want to see if you can articulate what biometrics is, its purpose, and how it's applied in real-world scenarios. Not just reciting a textbook definition.
So instead of just giving a dry definition, could I say something like, biometrics is the science of identifying individuals based on their unique biological traits. And it plays a critical role in data analysis by providing a reliable way to verify identities. Whether it's fingerprints for secure access or facial features for personalized experiences.
That's a great start. You've clearly explained the core concept and given some, solid real-world examples, but be ready for follow-up questions.
Like what?
They might ask you to compare different biometric technologies, like how does facial recognition compare to iris scanning?
In terms of accuracy and practicality.
Exactly. Or they could even dive into the ethical implications, like what are the ethical considerations of using biometrics in law enforcement, things like that.
That's where RoleCatcher could come in handy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it can analyze job descriptions and predict potential interview questions, like even those tricky follow-up.
Absolutely. It even helps you tailor your practice answers, suggests industry-specific examples, gives you feedback on your delivery. It's pretty impressive.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, next question. What statistical methods have you used in your previous work as a biometrician? This one seems like it's all about showcasing your technical skills.
You're right. It's about highlighting the methods that are most relevant to biometrics and, of course, the specific job you're applying for. Don't just list everything you know.
Right, tailored to the role.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're applying for, let's say, a facial recognition role, you might want to mention methods like principal component analysis or support vector machines, things that are directly relevant to that area.
Okay, so I could say something like, in my previous work, I extensively used principal component analysis to reduce the dimensionality of facial images, which improve the accuracy of our recognition system. I also applied support vector machines for classifying facial features, which was crucial for identifying individuals with high precision.
Now you're talking. You've not only named the methods, but explained how you applied them and the results you achieved. Remember, the interviewer is looking for evidence of your problem-solving skills, not just a list of buzzwords.
Got it. So specific examples and quantifiable results whenever possible.
Exactly.
And again, RoleCatcher can help me tailor my answer based on the job description, right?
It can. It can even suggest real-world examples from your field to, give your answers more impact.
This AI is really starting to sound like a game changer.
It can be, especially for interview prep.
Okay, next question. How do you ensure the accuracy and reliability of biometric data? This one seems like a chance to show I'm detail-oriented and understand the importance of data quality.
Absolutely. The interviewer wants to see that you're aware of the challenges that come with biometric data and that you have strategies to address them. Think about things like variations in image quality, environmental conditions, even human behavior. All of that can impact the accuracy of your data.
So I could say something like, I always start by inspecting the data for inconsistencies, errors, or missing values. I use data visualization techniques to look for outliers, and then I apply appropriate data cleaning techniques to improve data integrity before analysis.
That's a good foundation. You're showing that you have a methodical approach to data quality control. But to really stand out, consider mentioning specific techniques. Things like noise reduction algorithms for image processing, outlier detection methods for statistical analysis.
So I could add, for example, in a project involving fingerprint recognition, I used image enhancement techniques to reduce noise and improve the clarity of the fingerprint images. And that's significantly boosted the accuracy of our matching algorithm.
Exactly. Now you're demonstrating a deeper understanding of the practical challenges and solutions in biometrics. Remember, the more specific and relevant your examples, the more confident you'll appear.
Makes sense. And speaking of staying ahead of the curve, our career guide emphasizes the importance of, well, continuous learning for biometricians.
Oh, absolutely. It's a rapidly evolving field. Staying updated is really crucial for career growth and for keeping those skills sharp.
Which brings us to our next question. How do you stay up to date with advances in biometrics research and technology?
This is your opportunity to show your passion for the field, your commitment to learning. Mention specific journals, conferences, online communities, any courses you follow to stay current.
So I could say something like, I subscribe to journals like the IE Transactions on Biometrics, Behavior, and Identity Sciences, and I actively participate in online forums like Biometrics Planet. I also make it a point to attend conferences like the International Conference on Biometrics.
Perfect. You've given concrete examples of how you stay informed. But remember, tailor your answer to the job. If the role emphasizes, say, deep learning, you might want to mention following leading researchers in that area or taking specialized courses.
Got it. So always be thinking, how does this connect to the specific job I'm applying for?
Exactly.
And this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can help, right? It can analyze the job description and suggest relevant resources or areas to focus on.
You got it. It can even identify potential knowledge gaps in your skill set and then recommend resources to help you fill them. Gives you a real edge.
Wow, see how powerful this AI can be. Okay, question number 5. How do you approach designing and conducting experiments involving biometric data? This one seems like it's getting into the research side of things.
It is. This is where the interviewer is assessing your research chops. They want to see if you understand the scientific principles behind designing a rigorous experiment, one that produces reliable results.
So I could say something like, first, I would define a clear research question and formulate testable hypotheses. Then I'd design the experiment, making sure to control for any extraneous variables that could skew the results. I'd ensure the data collection process is standardized, and then I'd use appropriate statistical techniques to analyze the data and draw valid conclusions.
That's a solid overview. But to really impress them, try to give a concrete example from your previous research. Maybe an experiment you designed to test the accuracy of a new fingerprint matching algorithm.
Or to evaluate the impact of lighting conditions on facial recognition performance.
Exactly. The more specific you can be, the better.
And just to be sure, I can use RoleCatcher's AI to get feedback on my experimental design approach, right? Make sure I'm hitting all the key points.
Of course. RoleCatcher can even help you spot potential flaws in your design and suggest improvements. Make sure your answer really reflects a strong understanding of research methodology.
Okay, onto a question that's definitely top of mind these days. How do you ensure the security and privacy of biometric data?
This is a big one, no doubt. It's crucial to show that you understand the ethical and legal implications. The interviewer needs to know that you prioritize data security and privacy in your work.
So I could start by saying, I recognize the sensitivity of biometric data and the importance of protecting it. I always adhere to strict data security protocols, like encryption and access control measures, to prevent unauthorized access. And, of course, I ensure compliance with relevant privacy regulations.
That's a good start. You're highlighting your commitment to security and your awareness of the regulations. But to make your answer even stronger, provide specific examples of data security measures you've implemented, like de-identification techniques, secure data storage systems, things like that.
So I could add, for instance, in my previous role, we implemented a biometric database with multi-factor authentication and data encryption, both at rest and in transit, to really safeguard that sensitive information.
Now you're talking. You're showing that you not only understand the theory, but that you've actually put these safeguards into practice. That's what they want to hear.
And of course, RoleCatcher can help me tailor my answer to the specific security concerns of the company.
Absolutely. It can analyze the job description and the company profile, identify potential security risks and suggest appropriate measures. It makes your answer super relevant.
Okay, last question for this part of our deep dive. How have you applied biometric data in developing predictive models or decision-making tools? This one seems like a chance to showcase my analytical skills and practical experience.
Exactly. They want to see how you've used your biometrics knowledge to solve real-world problems. Focus on a specific project where you use that biometric data to build a predictive model. Or maybe you developed a decision support system.
Let's say I'm applying for a role at a healthcare company. Could I say, in a previous project, I developed a predictive model to assess the risk of cardiovascular disease based on biometric data, things like heart rate variability, blood pressure, and body mass index. And this model was integrated into a clinical decision support system, helping doctors identify high-risk patients earlier.
Perfect example. You've clearly explained the problem, the data, the analysis techniques, and the impact of your work. And remember, whenever possible, try to quantify your results. Highlight the accuracy or the effectiveness of your model. Show them the concrete value you brought.
Got it. And I'm sensing a theme here. RoleCatcher can probably help me tailor this answer to the company's needs too, right?
It can. It can analyze that job description and suggest relevant applications of biometric data in that specific industry. It really helps make your answer laser-focused.
This RoleCatcher AI is shaping up to be an invaluable tool for anyone in the biometrics field.
It's a powerful resource for sure.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground with these interview questions.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to explore.
Right, like what's it actually like to work as a biometrician? The day-to-day realities, the challenges, the rewards.
That's what we'll be diving into next time, folks. So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive.
We'll be back with more insights and strategies to help you land that dream job in biometrics. Welcome back, everyone.
All right, so we've tackled some tough interview questions.
We have.
But now let's get into what it's actually like to work as a biometrician, once you land that job.
Right, because the interview is just the first step.
Exactly. And our career guide dives into the day-to-day realities of the job, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
It paints a pretty diverse picture of the work environments. You could be in a bustling university lab, a high-security government facility, or even, a cutting-edge tech company.
Speaking of tech companies, I bet RoleCatcher could help pinpoint which ones are hiring, right?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's got this job matching feature. It analyzes your skills and matches you with relevant openings at, top companies in biometrics. It's pretty cool.
So it takes the guesswork out of the job search.
It can, for sure.
Okay. Back to our career guide. It mentions some pretty sweet perks of the job. High demand, job security, and of course those competitive salaries. But what about the downsides? There's got to be some...
Well, the guide does point out that the work can be pretty demanding and, you've got to be a lifelong learner. The field's constantly evolving, so staying up to date is crucial.
Always got to be learning new things.
Exactly. And it also emphasizes the importance of communication skills, which, might seem a little surprising for a technical field like this.
Yeah, why is that so important for a biometrician?
Well, imagine you've developed a groundbreaking facial recognition algorithm. You need to be able to explain that to colleagues, to clients, maybe even policymakers, people who might not have that, that deep technical backgrounds.
That's not enough to just be good with the numbers.
Right. You got to be able to communicate those complex ideas in a way that everyone can understand. And that brings us to our next interview question, which actually focuses on communication. It's, can you describe a time when you had to explain a complex biometric concept to a non-technical audience? How did you approach it?
Okay, so this one's all about showing that I can bridge that gap between the technical jargon and plain English.
Exactly. Think about a time when you had to, maybe present your research findings to investors or explain a new security protocol to employees who aren't tech savvy.
So instead of saying we used a convolutional neural network to extract features, I could say, imagine teaching a computer to recognize faces by showing it thousands of examples, just like you'd teach a child. Something like that.
That's a great analogy. You're making it relatable, bringing it down to a level that anyone can understand. And remember, focus on the why. Why does this concept matter? What value does it bring? That's what people really connect with.
Okay, so clear explanations, relatable analogies, and always focus on the why.
Got it.
You got it. Now, our career guide also highlights all the different ways biometrics is being used.
Yeah.
Healthcare security, finance, even entertainment. It's pretty mind-blowing.
It's a field with a ton of potential, and that potential is only going to grow in the coming years.
Which brings us to our next question. What do you see as the most exciting future applications of biometrics? And what potential challenges do those applications present?
Ooh, this is a good one. This is where you can really show your your vision, your critical thinking skills. They want to see that you're not just focused on the tech itself, but also on its impact on society.
Okay, so I could talk about the potential of biometrics in personalized medicine, you know, using physiological data to create tailored treatments for individual patients. Or I could discuss how biometrics could enhance security, prevent fraud, things like that.
Great examples, but don't forget to address the challenges too. You could talk about data privacy concerns, the potential for algorithmic bias, or even, the potential for misuse of this technology. It's important to acknowledge both sides of the coin.
Yeah, because with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. It's a powerful technology, so we need to be thoughtful about how we use it.
And our next question actually delves into that ethical side. How would you address concerns about the potential for bias in biometric algorithms?
This is a crucial question. It shows that you're aware of the societal impact of this technology and that you're thinking about how to ensure that it's used fairly.
So I could talk about the importance of using diverse data sets to train those algorithms, making sure that they're not biased towards certain demographics.
That's a great point. You could also mention techniques for mitigating bias, like fairness-aware machine learning algorithms, or, auditing systems for potential discriminatory outcomes. There are a lot of different approaches.
And this is another area where RoleCatcher can help, right?
Yeah.
I've heard it can actually analyze algorithms for potential bias and suggest improvements.
It can. RoleCatcher's got this bias detection feature that uses AI to identify and mitigate bias. So, it's not just about finding a job, it's about helping you develop and use this technology responsibly, which is huge.
It really is. Okay, moving on to a more personal question. Describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision related to the use of biometric data. What factors did you consider?
This one's all about your judgment, your decision-making skills in tricky situations where ethics are involved. They want to see that you can weigh the benefits of the technology against the potential risks and then make an informed choice.
This one's tough. I might talk about a time when we had to balance security needs with privacy concerns. Maybe we were developing a facial recognition system for a public space, and we had to really think about the potential impact on individual freedoms.
That's a perfect example. You could talk about the factors you considered, the purpose of the system, the types of data being collected, whether people consented to their data being used, and of course the potential for misuse. It's all about finding that balance between innovation and, an ethical responsibility.
Right. And again, I imagine RoleCatcher could help me prepare for this type of question by giving me insights into best practices and industry standards.
It could. RoleCatcher's got this ethical framework feature that actually provides guidance on the ethical use of biometric technology, so you can be sure you're making decisions that align with your values and professional standards.
Okay, on to a more technical question. Can you explain the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning in the context of biometrics? Provide examples of how each approach can be applied.
All right, back to the technical side. This one tests your understanding of machine learning and how those concepts apply to biometrics. They want to see if you can differentiate between those two key approaches, supervised and unsupervised learning, and then explain how they're used in real-world applications.
Okay, so for supervised learning, I could explain that it involves training an algorithm on labeled data, where the desired output is already known. Like in facial recognition, you train a model on a data set of labeled faces, teaching it to identify individuals based on their features.
That's a clear explanation. And then for unsupervised learning, you could explain that it involves training an algorithm on unlabeled data, allowing it to discover patterns on its own. Like in anomaly detection, you might use unsupervised learning to find unusual patterns in biometric data that could indicate fraudulent activity.
Okay, so supervised learning is like having a teacher guiding the algorithm, while unsupervised learning is more like letting the algorithm explore and learn on its own. And of course, I can always double-check my understanding with RoleCatcher, right?
Absolutely. It's got definitions, examples, even quizzes to help you really grasp those machine learning fundamentals so you can walk into that interview feeling confident.
Speaking of feeling confident, our career guide also mentions the importance of certifications, for demonstrating expertise and boosting your credentials.
Certifications can definitely give you a leg up, especially in a competitive field like biometrics. It shows that you're committed to professional development and that you've gone the extra mile to validate your skills.
Which leads us to our next question. What certifications or professional development opportunities are you pursuing to enhance your skills in biometrics?
This is your chance to showcase your dedication to continuous learning and your proactive approach to career growth. Mention any certifications you're working towards, courses you've completed, professional organizations you belong to, anything that shows you're invested in your professional development.
So I could talk about pursuing the Certified Biometrics Professional Certification, or maybe taking online courses in, say, deep learning for biometrics.
Those are great examples. You could also mention attending industry conferences or workshops, anything that shows you're staying ahead of the curve.
And RoleCatcher can help me tailor my answer here too, right? By suggesting relevant certifications or training programs based on the job requirements.
You bet. It can even connect you with online learning platforms and, professional development resources. It's like having a personalized career advisor in your pocket.
Okay, our career guide also talks about the importance of networking, which, makes sense in any field, but especially in a specialized one like biometrics.
Absolutely. Building relationships with other professionals can open doors to new opportunities, collaborations, all sorts of things.
So let's get to our next question, which is all about networking. Can you describe your involvement in professional organizations or online communities related to biometrics? How do you stay connected with others in the field?
This is where you showcase your initiative in building your professional network.
Yeah.
And staying engaged with the biometrics community. Mention any organizations you belong to, online forums you participate in, conferences you attend, anything where you connect with other biometrics professionals.
So I could talk about my membership in the IE Biometrics Council, or maybe my participation in online forums like Biometrics Planet. And I could mention attending industry events like the Biometric Consortium Conference.
Perfect. And be sure to highlight the benefits of networking. Things like learning from others, exchanging ideas, staying informed about industry trends. Networking is all about sharing knowledge and building those valuable connections.
Right, because two heads are better than one, especially in a complex field like this.
Exactly. Now, our career guide also points out that there are specialized areas within biometrics. As the field grows, there's more and more demand for specialists in, say, facial recognition or iris scanning.
So it's not just a one-size-fits-all field anymore.
Right. There are all these different niches you can specialize in.
Which brings us to our next question. What are your specific areas of expertise within biometrics? Are there any areas you're particularly passionate about or would like to specialize in?
This is your chance to really showcase your strengths and highlight any niche areas you've developed. Be honest about what you're passionate about and explain why you're drawn to those areas. Enthusiasm goes a long way.
Okay, so if I'm really into facial recognition, I could talk about my deep understanding of facial feature extraction techniques, 3D modeling, things like that. And I could explain why I find that area so fascinating.
Exactly. And if you're interested in applying biometrics to a specific industry like healthcare or security, you should mention that too. It shows that you've thought about your career path and that you're ready to contribute your skills to a particular domain.
And RoleCatcher can help me figure out which niche areas might be a good fit, right?
Absolutely. It's got this career path exploration feature that can guide you towards those in-demand areas that align with your skills and interests. It's pretty handy.
Like having a personalized roadmap for your biometrics career.
It is. Now let's move on to a question that really gets into your problem-solving skills. Describe a challenging technical problem you faced while working with biometric data. How did you approach the problem, and what was the outcome?
Okay, this one's all about showing how I think on my feet, how I tackle those technical challenges.
Exactly. They want to see that you can think critically, you can troubleshoot, you can find creative solutions. So choose an example that really highlights those skills, something that shows your technical expertise and your problem-solving abilities.
Let me think. I could talk about a time when we were developing a fingerprint recognition system and we ran into issues with image quality. Variations in finger pressure were messing things up. I could explain how I researched different image enhancement techniques, experimented with different algorithms, and eventually, found a solution that significantly improved the accuracy.
That's a great example. You've clearly laid out the problem, your approach, and the positive outcome. And, when you're describing this, emphasize the steps you took, the resources you consulted, the lessons you learned. They want to see your thought process.
Got it. Show them how I got from point A to point B, and I'm assuming RoleCatcher could help me choose the right example from my past experience.
It can. Its AI can analyze your work history and suggest relevant examples that really showcase those problem-solving skills. So you're putting your best foot forward.
Okay, Let's tackle a question that focuses on teamwork. Describe a time when you worked effectively as part of a team to achieve a common goal. What was your role, and what were the key factors that contributed to the team's success?
Ah, teamwork. This is essential in any field, but especially in one as complex as biometrics. So choose an example that demonstrates your collaboration skills, your communication skills, how you work with others to get things done.
Okay, I could talk about a time when our team was developing a new iris recognition algorithm. I was in charge of the feature extraction module, and we had to work closely with the image acquisition team and the database management team.
Yeah.
It was a real collaborative effort. We had regular meetings, clear communication, and everyone was really supportive.
That's a great example. You've highlighted your role, the teamwork involved, and the positive outcome. And be sure to emphasize the importance of clear communication, shared goals, and mutual respect. Those are the foundations of a successful team.
Right, because teamwork makes the dream work, as they say.
Exactly. Okay, last question for this section, and it's a big one. What are your long-term career goals in the field of biometrics? Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
This is where I get to talk about my aspirations, my vision for the future.
It is. This is where they assess your ambition, your commitment to the field. They want to see that you've given some thought to your future, that you're motivated to grow and contribute to the advancement of biometrics.
So I could talk about wanting to become a leading expert in, say, facial recognition, maybe leading a research team or, developing innovative applications of biometrics in a particular industry.
Great example. You could also mention your desire to contribute to ethical guidelines for the use of biometrics. Or maybe you want to mentor future generations of biometrics professionals. Anything that shows you're thinking about the big picture, about the long-term impact of your work.
It's not just about my own career, it's about shaping the future of the field.
Exactly. And I bet RoleCatcher could help you articulate those goals and map out a path to achieve them.
It probably can. RoleCatcher's career planning feature helps you set goals, identify potential career paths, and even connect you with resources to help you reach those goals. It's like having a personal cheerleader for your biometrics career.
It is. It's all about empowering you to take control of your career and make a real difference in this exciting field.
We've covered so much ground in this part of our deep dive. We've talked about interview questions, career insights, and the incredible power of RoleCatcher's AI.
We've given you the tools and the strategies to not only ace that interview, but to really thrive in this dynamic and, an incredibly rewarding field.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to explore.
The ethical considerations, the big questions that every biometrician needs to grapple with.
That's what we'll be discussing in the final part of our deep dive. So stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to our final segment.
We've covered a lot of ground. Interview strategies, career insights, the power of AI.
But now it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture.
The ethical landscape.
Exactly, because biometrics is, it's changing the world around us.
Our career guide talks about this, how it's affecting everything from how we unlock our phones to how medical diagnoses are made.
It's exciting stuff, but it also raises some serious questions.
About responsibility, about privacy, the potential for misuse, all of that.
Exactly.
So for this last part, we're not going to focus on, specific interview questions.
We're going to leave you with some food for thought.
Things to ponder as you embark on your biometrics journey.
Think of it as your post-interview assignment.
Okay, so imagine you've landed that dream biometrician role.
You're working on cutting-edge tech, but you're also, you're faced with these ethical dilemmas.
You might be developing a facial recognition system, but you're worried about surveillance overreach.
Or maybe you're using biometric data to personalize healthcare, but you're concerned about data privacy and potential discrimination.
These are the kinds of challenges that biometricians have to grapple with.
There are no easy answers, but asking those tough questions is, it's essential.
So as you prepare for your career in biometrics, we challenge you to think deeply about these ethical considerations.
What are the potential benefits and the risks? Where do we draw the line between innovation and responsible use? How do we ensure that this technology is used ethically, that it benefits humanity?
Those are the big questions.
And remember, RoleCatcher is there to support you, not just with landing the job, but with navigating all of this, the ethical landscape of this incredible field.
That's right. So go out there, ace those interviews, and use your skills to shape a future where biometrics is a force for good.
We believe in you.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of biometricians. We hope you've learned a lot and that you're feeling inspired to embark on this exciting journey.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, keep pushing the boundaries.
And keep asking those tough questions.
Absolutely.